Hello my guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Now, in this video, I decided I would try drawing some of my OCs realistically. Now, I've done realistic drawings before, and I wouldn't say I'm too bad at them. You know, I can look at a picture, I can copy it okay, but this is a bit different. First of all, I'm using color. I've never done realistic drawings in color, besides like a few fruit paintings. I'm also going to be doing more of like a line drawing thing, but also whenever I've done realistic drawings, I've always had a picture, just drawn that picture. This is going to be taking elements from a lot of different pictures to build a separate drawing, which also means I'm gonna have to BS the shading. So that's gonna be a wild ride. Also, so far, 100% of my viewers are subscribed. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Just subscribe already. Don't be that one person. And on with the video. So the first OC I want to do was Haley, obviously. She's my first one and closest thing I have to a main OC. So I want to attempt it with her. She's also not a human, and I imagine realistically she'd wear a lot of makeup, so I thought I could use those two things to kind of hide behind any weirdness. So the first thing I did was try and find a lot of references for her, and I did that mostly using Pinterest. So I had like on a separate tab references. I had a few for her general face shape and then a few for like a lot of e-girl makeup and stuff. I also had one for her hair. So I used all of those and started building a general face shape. I kind of used some of the references, and I also had a reference up of, you know, those like general rules for drawing a face, like, oh, the, you know, width of the head is like 5 eyes long. All those little rules. And so using those two things, I constructed a basic face shape, and it was looking a little wonky. The nose was really out of proportion, and it was so asymmetrical. So mainly with the nose, I kept messing around for a while trying to get things to work and look good. I also was like looking up some clothing references to draw like a bit of her clothes, but then I just decided to cut off the drawing before it reached the clothes because this was challenging enough. Realistic clothes, I've barely ever done that. I did it like one time. I'm not ready for that. So in order to kind of fix the problem I was having with the nose, I accidentally just made the proportions kind of cartoony. The eyes are too big, the lips are too big. It's not the most realistic looking face anymore. It does look better than it did before in my opinion though, so I guess there's that. So then I tried adding in the horns, and like there's no rule for how to add horns to a person because people don't have horns. So I had to kind of figure out how I wanted it, and I don't know about how I did it. The horns look very flat, first of all. They don't look very round. It looks like they're just flat pieces of paper stuck on. And also, I'm not sure about their placement. I don't think they're symmetrical either with where they're placed. There's a lot of problems with them. I don't like how they look. If I were to do it over, I probably would have looked at like cosplays or something people have done where they've added horns and seen how to make a good balanced look with a realistic human face and also horns. But I didn't do that. A little late to think of that now. So then I went in with the line art, and it was pretty simple. I had a bit of struggle with doing some things like the eyebrows. I struggled with a bit. The hair was looking really weird, so I tried adding these lines to kind of show the direction of the hair, and I liked how it turned out with this drawing, because it's not too contrasty since her hair is brown in the end anyway. Once again, these aren't the most realistic drawings. Like, I didn't intend to go full photo realistic here. I was trying to do the best I could with Ibis paint, or at least how I know how to use Ibis paint. I'm sure there are brushes and stuff that would have worked much better, but I've never used those brushes, so I don't know which ones to go to for this kind of stuff. Then I went in with the color and I used like the same colors I use on her actual design. I didn't make the colors more subdued or anything because I think they're just fine. Then I went in with some shading. For the shading, I decided I would do just black and white. And pretty much what I did is I did like shading under the hair, shaded some of the hair, did like the neck, and then the main thing that I kind of had to just make up as I went along was under the eyes and to the left of the nose. Because I guess I kind of decided the light source was going to be from the right, though I didn't fully shade all of the parts of the face to accurately show that. But I did shade like from the left of the nose and tried to make it look realistic while trying to remember past like realistic portraits that I've done. And I don't think it's too bad. I mean, once again, not the most realistic thing. And blending out the shading, especially when using like a harsh black on everything, is pretty hard. It was a struggle, but I don't know, not the worst shading I've ever done. And that's saying something since usually I only do cartoon drawings. And then afterwards, I added in some shine. I did to like the nose, lips, face, did some to the hair. The hair, I also kind of made up the shine as I went along. I kind of just did my normal hair texture for the hair in general, but it doesn't look too out of place, so that's all I can ask for. Let's see, I also added some shine to her eyes. I added like white behind the pupil and some lines of white to try and give it some more dimension. And then I added in harsher white highlights to the eyes. I like how I do the highlights in the second drawing better, I think, but you'll see that later. And then I went for just kind of a basic background. I did green with a darker green behind the actual drawing, and I did some white lines in the corner because, I don't know, I felt like it. And then I actually signed my name instead of putting text there because I felt like it fit the aesthetic better. Overall, I don't hate this drawing too much. It isn't very realistic, and, you know, the lips are too big, the nose isn't symmetric, shading's kind of weird. But overall, it's not as bad as I expected it to go. And then I moved on to another OC of mine, Avenir. If I do Haley, I have to do Avenir. They're a duo. Plus, I felt like Avenir would be a good kind of opposite to do some other things. You know, she has a much shorter haircut. She has much brighter colors. She has a much more childish face. All these things would be pretty different from Haley, so it would be a completely different process. And when I say it would be a completely different process, my god, I meant it. So I went on Pinterest and tried to find references for her face, but this time I couldn't really find any. I didn't know what kind of words to search up to find her face. So there wasn't really any references used for this besides some like references of basic facial proportions and stuff. The rest of it was just made up. So I think that makes this a lot more, it's impressive how well I did without proportions, I think. But things get a little wonky. My first big struggle came with the hair. I had no references for it, and her hair is normally very cartoony. So I tried to make it almost like another OC of mine, Alex's haircut, where it's just kind of straight and at chin length. I had her hair flare out a bit more, which, once again, not really the most realistic, but it made her look more like Avenir. That was also a struggle. I'm really bad at this normally, and that's giving people like that likeness to themselves. Cause I found that if you even mess up like a tiny bit, especially in the eyes, it doesn't feel like that person. So I really wanted to try and make these characters look like their actual cartoon selves. I feel like Haley kind of does. Avenir, it's a bit harder to say. I also did make her face more like wide and rounded than Haley's, and since my previous practice had just been with Haley's face shape, it was a bit harder to get the facial proportions to look right. Especially the neck was a struggle. The neck is too skinny. The rule for necks is you're supposed to take the far corner of the eyes and draw down from there, and that's where the neck is. But it's not really there. It's much more closer to the center than that. So when I went in with the line art, the hair turned out so cartoony. Like, I tried to have a lot of it cover her ears because I didn't want to draw the inside of ears, so I was covering them up. Ears are scary, man, especially without references. So I tried covering them up, and I didn't know exactly how to draw those little bits because I don't think anyone would actually have their hair cut like that. So it looks very cartoonish. And then also just the rest of the shape is kind of cartoony. I don't know. Not too happy with it. Then I think I also made the lips too far up and their shape's a little weird too. Like I said, I didn't have references, I just made this up. So of course things are gonna look wonky. And like I was saying with the inner ear, I just didn't want to draw it, so I didn't. So the ears are kind of just weird smooth blobs, but they're not too noticeable because I covered them up for the most part. And then I tried to do the same thing I did with Haley where I drew little lines to show the flow of the hair, but these turned out much worse because for starters, I drew way too many. I went way too ham with the lines. And also because her hair is a lot lighter, so it contrasts a lot more, which makes it look a lot more out of place. So yeah, I don't think that was a good choice. I probably should have gone back and erased a lot of them, but like a dum-dum, I did the lines of hair on the same layer as the rest of the line art. And I didn't want to destroy any of the other line art, so I kind of just decided to leave it. I wish I had kind of made her chin a bit rounder and, you know, drawn inside the ears, fix the lips. I think there's something wrong with the eyebrows too. I don't know. For Haley, I made her eyebrows all black, but it's fine because her hair is darker so it fit more. But obviously I couldn't do that with Abner, so I tried to find a way to make it blend into the face a bit more. But overall, there are some things I like about this one more than Haley's, because I think some aspects of it are a bit more realistic, especially when it comes to like the eye proportions and all that. The shading was worse on this just because her whole entire color palette, you know, like I said, lighter colors, so the black stands out more, and the lack of ability to blend it stands out more. So it looks a bit wonky, but still, I don't hate it. There are some things I like. It's not the worst thing I've created, and that's all I can say about it. Anyway, if you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I post every week on Sunday, so go check those videos out. Also, comment below how well you think I did. I've been staring at these drawings for way too long, so it's kind of hard for me to gauge how good they look. Also, all my social media are in the description below, so if you're interested in seeing more of me outside of YouTube, go follow some of those. And I will see you all next week.